The leak of secret documents always sparks curiosity and fear. Some information exposed to the public is quickly forgotten, while others become fuel for conspiracy theories. In April 2023, a young U.S. National Guard serviceman unauthorizedly published a series of top-secret Pentagon files in a Discord group. The content involved military movements, espionage against allies, and even information about cyber warfare. However, something even more intriguing caught people's attention. Parts of the document disappeared from the internet quickly, and no one knows for sure what else was in those files. What was removed? And more importantly, why was it concealed with such urgency? Cases like this are nothing new. Classified files leak, appear in obscure forums, and within hours, they are wiped from the web. But some documents seem to contain information so dangerous that their traces are completely erased, and those involved disappear without explanation. Amid digital blackouts and suspicious silences, an inevitable question arises. What truth could be so disturbing that it must be eradicated before it even reaches the general public? Welcome to another night where mysteries never sleep. I am Midnight, and this is 7 Nights. Before we begin, I'd like to ask for your help. Like the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's just one click, but it makes a huge difference in helping YouTube recommend the videos to more people and allowing me to continue bringing this content to you. I'm counting on you. Let's get into the video. Imagine an ultra-secret government document leaks online. Within minutes, it starts circulating, and some people manage to access it. But before anyone can analyze it fully, it simply disappears. Posts are deleted, accounts are suspended, and any trace of the original information vanishes. Sounds like science fiction, right? But that's exactly what happened in April 2023 when classified Pentagon files were leaked on Discord by a serviceman named Jack Teixeira. The documents discuss the war in Ukraine, international espionage, and even U.S. military movements. But something didn't add up. Some sections of the material seemed incomplete, while other parts simply vanished from the internet before they could be analyzed. So the question remains, what exactly was erased? Here's an interesting detail. Normally, when something leaks, the government tries to deny it, discredit it, or make it seem like just a mistake or a conspiracy theory. But this time, the reaction was different. There was a coordinated effort to eradicate certain parts of the document before they gained traction. Who has that level of control over information? The matter becomes even stranger when we consider the possible reasons behind the erasure. Some anonymous sources claim that one of the documents mentioned an artificial intelligence system capable of predicting geopolitical and behavioral events with absurd accuracy. Think about it. A technology so advanced that it could anticipate wars, economic crises, and even social uprisings before they happened. Could this explain why certain decisions seem to be made based on events that haven't even occurred yet? And it doesn't stop there. Another theory suggests that the deleted files contain something even more sensitive: unidentified aerial phenomena. In recent years, the US has been releasing reports on UFOs, but always in a controlled manner. What could these documents reveal? Evidence of direct contact? Unknown technology? Or something we can't even begin to imagine? Now, consider the speed at which this information was erased. In less than 24 hours, certain sections of the leaked files disappeared from the internet as if they had never existed. How is it possible to erase something from the web so efficiently? This isn't about simple manual deletions. It suggests an automated system, a technology capable of sweeping away unwanted information before it spreads. Jack Teixeira was arrested quickly, and his sentencing came at record speed. But this raises another question. If the documents weren't that important, why was the government's reaction so extreme? Why were some parts treated with much greater secrecy than others? What was in them that absolutely couldn't reach public knowledge? And now, we reach the most intriguing point. Some people claim to have saved fragments of these files before they were deleted. They attempted to share the material, but they were quickly banned from forums, had their profiles suspended, and even reported that their devices were hacked. Who is controlling this erasure? If there is a technology capable of predicting events, hiding information, and erasing data from the internet as if it never existed, what else is being kept from us? Have we already lost information that could change the way we see the world? Here's the big question. Was this leak just a security breach or a test to see how the population would react to something even bigger? And if these documents reappear, are we ready to know the truth? Stop and think for a moment. For decades, governments around the world ridiculed anyone who mentioned UFOs. Reports were discredited, witnesses were silenced, and the idea that unidentified flying objects could be real was treated as pure fantasy. But suddenly that changed. Now, in a controlled manner, the US government has been slowly admitting that these phenomena exist. But why? What motivated this shift in narrative? And more importantly, what is still being hidden? In the leaked Pentagon documents, there were mentions of unidentified aerial phenomena. But the strangest part is that these specific sections were the first to disappear from the internet. Some copies circulated briefly but quickly vanished. Posts were deleted, profiles were suspended, and any attempt to discuss this information was shut down. Doesn't that already sound suspicious? If there was nothing relevant in these documents, why such a massive effort to make sure no one could access them? And here comes an even more terrifying detail. Have you ever heard of reverse engineering of non-human technology? If that idea sounds like science fiction, think again. In 2023, former intelligence officer David Grush revealed that the US government not only has access to craft of unknown origin, but is also conducting research to understand their technology. According to him, there is a top-secret program dedicated to studying materials that do not belong to our civilization. Now connect the dots. What if the deleted Pentagon leaked documents confirmed exactly that? This would explain a lot. Think about the speed at which technology has advanced over the past few decades. In a short period, we jumped from massive computers to artificial intelligence capable of simulating human thought. Where did all this progress come from? The rapid development of these technologies may not have been just a natural consequence of innovation, but rather the result of studying something that did not originally belong to us. Now, imagine that these documents also mentioned an AI system capable of predicting events before they happen. Sounds absurd? Well, be aware that algorithms already exist that predict financial patterns, analyze social networks to anticipate behaviors, and even identify threats before they become real. So, ask yourself, what if governments are already using this technology at a much more advanced level than we can imagine? If this is true, then the answer to many questions starts to become clear. Why do certain events seem to be predicted by authorities before they even happen? Why do some crises seem to have immediate responses, as if someone already knew they were coming? It could be coincidence, or it could be the effect of a secret technology that has existed for years and is being used behind the scenes. Now, go back to the deleted documents. If they really contained information about UFOs, reverse engineering, and predictive AI, isn't it obvious that they needed to be erased as quickly as possible? If the public had access to this information, what would happen? How would people react if they discovered that certain technological innovations may have much darker origins than we imagined? And there's another crucial detail. Since these documents were leaked, some people who tried to dig deeper into the subject have reported unexplained difficulties. Researchers' accounts were blocked, profiles disappeared without explanation, and in some cases, even reports of surveillance and harassment emerged. If there's nothing to hide, why such an extreme level of control over those trying to uncover the truth? Now think about this. If this technology already exists and is being used without anyone knowing, how many decisions have been made based on predictions that the public has never seen? How much information has already been erased before it could even reach our knowledge? What was really in those documents that vanished from the internet? And more importantly, what else has been erased over the years without anyone noticing? If the government hides secrets, it needs allies to keep them away from the public. And who are these allies? Billionaires, major corporations, and tech companies that always seem to be one step ahead of the rest of the world. Now think about this. What if these Pentagon leaks revealed not only military operations, but also the direct involvement of private companies in developing technologies that should never reach public knowledge? It's no secret that governments and large corporations work together. Defense, technology, and cybersecurity companies receive billions of dollars in contracts to develop systems that, most of the time, we don't even know exist. But in recent years, a curious pattern has started to emerge. Highly advanced technologies are being developed by private companies, far from the public eye, and some of them seem to directly connect with certain leaks that disappear from the internet before we can analyze them. Take, for example, Palantir Technologies, a company specializing in artificial intelligence and data analysis that has direct contracts with the US Department of Defense. What few people know is that their technology has been used to predict behavioral patterns, from terrorist threats to social trends. Now connect that to the leaked secret documents. What if one of these technologies was mentioned in the deleted files? And what if there were an even deeper collaboration between the government and companies working with cutting-edge technology, bioengineering, and artificial intelligence? Imagine for a moment that advanced monitoring systems, event prediction algorithms, and even information manipulation techniques are being created without any public oversight. Sounds exaggerated? Then remember the PRISM program, revealed by Edward Snowden, where the NSA had direct access to the servers of companies like Google, Microsoft, and Facebook to monitor private communications. Now think a little deeper. If those leaked documents talked about predictive artificial intelligence and unknown aerospace technologies, wouldn't it make sense for private companies to be directly involved in this? After all, if the government wanted to keep this information away from public scrutiny, the best way to do it would be to outsource research to corporations that don't have to be as transparent as a government agency. And here's another crucial point. The same year of the leak, the US Congress started pressuring companies to reveal what they knew about UFOs and experimental technologies. Why? Were they trying to get ahead of something? Did someone inside these corporations see what was coming and decide to act before the truth came out? And here's something for you to think about. Could the real power no longer be in governments, but in the corporations that control information and technology? If these companies have access to technologies we can't even imagine, who is really in charge? But now comes the most concerning detail. If these companies are truly involved in developing highly advanced technologies, it means there are secrets being kept that will never reach the public. How many projects have been started and canceled before the world could see them? How many groundbreaking patents have been buried to keep certain industries in control? And now, go back to the deleted documents. If they contained any evidence that private companies were developing technologies beyond what we are allowed to know, wouldn't it be obvious that those files needed to disappear? Wouldn't it make sense for certain information to be removed before it could go viral? The problem is that every time a document disappears, every time a leak is suppressed, the puzzle becomes more evident. The public may not have all the pieces, but they are beginning to see the shape of this hidden truth. And if history has taught us anything, it's that secrets never stay buried forever. The question remains, what do these companies really know? And what else is being developed right now, away from the public eye, without anyone having the slightest idea? You might think your privacy is protected, but the truth is, if someone wants to monitor your every move, they can do so without you ever realizing it. And we're not talking about simple hackers or online scams. We're talking about a global surveillance network capable of tracking anyone, anytime, without them having to do anything other than be connected to the internet. The leaked Pentagon documents mention something that few people noticed: ultra-secret cyber warfare and mass surveillance programs. But these sections were quickly erased, as if someone wanted to ensure the public would never know what is really happening. And here's a chilling detail. In 2013, Edward Snowden revealed that the NSA, National Security Agency, had a system called X-Keyscore, which allowed them to monitor anyone in the world just by typing a name into a search field. Now, 10 years later, imagine how much these technologies have advanced. If back then it was already possible to spy on private communications without anyone knowing, what could those deleted Pentagon files have been revealing? If there's one thing that has become clear in recent years, it's that modern warfare is no longer just about tanks and bombs. Today, information is the most powerful weapon there is. And whoever controls the information controls everything. Have you ever heard of Pegasus? This spyware, developed by an Israeli company, was used to spy on journalists, activists, and even political leaders worldwide. With it, governments could access phone cameras and microphones, even when the devices were turned off. Now connect the dots. What if the deleted Pentagon documents mention something even more advanced? There are indications that certain governments possess systems capable of intercepting real-time communications, remotely accessing devices, and even manipulating information without leaving a trace. If this is true, then the entire structure of the internet, as we know it, might be nothing more than an illusion, a controlled reality where only what they want us to see is allowed to exist. And here's something even more alarming. In recent years, cyber attacks on major infrastructures have become increasingly common. Power grids, hospitals, financial networks, all have been targeted by highly sophisticated hackers. But what if these attacks weren't just carried out by independent criminals? What if some of them were actually tests conducted by governments themselves, assessing how they could use digital warfare to their advantage? If the leaked Pentagon documents discuss secret cyber warfare programs, does that mean we are already living in a world where any information can be manipulated, controlled, or simply erased? Think about it. How many pieces of information might have been removed from the internet before anyone even noticed? Could the truth about certain events have already been altered, without the public ever having the chance to know the real facts? Now consider another detail. Companies like Google, Facebook, and Amazon collect billions of data points on each person every day. Your search history, your preferences, your habits, all of it is being constantly gathered and analyzed. But what if this information were secretly being shared with governments to fuel artificial intelligence systems that can predict behaviors, anticipate crises, and even influence decisions? If this type of technology already exists, then the question we need to ask is, how far can this digital war go? Do governments already have the ability to predict uprisings, manipulate elections, or even erase people from history digitally? Now, go back to the deleted documents. If they contained any evidence that this type of technology was being developed, wouldn't it make sense for them to be removed before they became public? Here's the big question. If we are already living within this reality, how can we know what is true and what is just a controlled narrative? And what if, at this very moment, part of our reality has already been edited, rewritten, and manipulated, without us ever realizing it? Now stop and think, do you really have control over your choices? Or could decisions that seem spontaneous actually have been influenced without you ever realizing it? In recent years, a strange pattern has begun to emerge. Global events, political crises, and even social behaviors seem to follow a predictable script, almost as if they were being calculated and guided by invisible hands. But what if this manipulation is far more sophisticated than we ever imagined? The leaked Pentagon documents contained information that went far beyond the war in Ukraine and international espionage. Among the files that mysteriously disappeared, there were indications of secret population control programs, where governments and major corporations were allegedly studying methods to manipulate entire societies. And what if some of these experiments were already happening, without anyone noticing? If you think this sounds exaggerated, look to the past. In the mid-20th century, projects like MKUltra were officially revealed, proving that governments conducted secret experiments on humans to test methods of mind control and psychological manipulation. If this was happening back then, what's stopping something similar from occurring now, but with far more advanced technologies? And here's a disturbing detail. One of the theories about the deleted documents suggests that they mentioned an artificial intelligence program designed for social engineering, a system capable of analyzing vast amounts of data, identifying behavioral patterns, and influencing decisions on a massive scale. Sounds absurd? Think about what already happens today. Social media algorithms can already predict what content you'll consume, what products you'll buy, and even which political ideologies might influence your decisions. Now, imagine this same principle being applied not just to sell ads, but to steer entire societies in a specific direction. What if the deleted documents revealed that governments and large corporations are testing methods to induce mass reactions, using planned crises to justify radical changes? This leads us to another intriguing question. In recent years, we've seen a significant increase in global events that have drastically altered human behavior. Pandemics, economic collapses, conflicts, and new restrictive policies appearing in various countries simultaneously. Could all of this be part of a larger experiment to test how societies react under different levels of stress? Now connect the dots. We already know that tech companies collect every detail about our behavior. We also know that governments have spent decades studying methods of psychological manipulation. So why would it be so far-fetched to believe that these two forces are working together to shape the world in a way that benefits a small elite group? And there's more. Some researchers believe that part of the erased files mention something even darker: the use of crises as a control tool. In other words, certain events wouldn't just be predictable. They could be deliberately encouraged to justify actions that would otherwise never be accepted by the public. Want an example? During times of crisis, people become more receptive to authoritarian measures. Surveillance laws that would have been rejected before are quickly approved. Invasive technologies are adopted for the sake of public safety. But what if all of this had been planned in advance? If these deleted documents really mention the existence of a system capable of analyzing and influencing population behavior on a massive scale, then the question we need to ask is, are we already living under an invisible form of control without realizing it? And what if some of the choices we make every day aren't really ours? Now go back to the files that disappeared. If they contained concrete evidence that this type of manipulation is already happening, wouldn't it make sense for them to be erased before they became public? The final question is, how far does this control go? And more importantly, is there any way to escape it? Amid the chaos of the Pentagon document leak, one detail went unnoticed. Even before the files reached the public, a scientist connected to government research projects made an intriguing statement. He said that something big was about to be revealed, and that if people paid attention, they would realize the world was not exactly as they imagined. A few days later, the documents started circulating on the internet, and suddenly he disappeared. This scientist, whose name was removed from various official records, worked in a highly restricted sector dealing with artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and global surveillance. Coincidence? Hard to believe. The disappearance of someone so closely tied to the areas mentioned in the deleted files raises an inevitable question. Did he know too much? The few reports about his last appearance suggest that he was nervous, as if he knew he was being watched. In one of his last recorded interactions, he mentioned an ongoing project that could change the way we understand reality. But no one managed to find out what he was talking about. Now think with me. If the deleted files truly contained information about advanced technologies, reverse engineering of unknown materials, population manipulation, and cyber espionage, who could know more about this than someone working directly on these projects? But what really stands out is the way his disappearance was handled. No investigation, no media coverage, no official statement. It was as if he had never existed. His name vanished from academic records, his articles were removed from scientific publications, and even his social media accounts were deactivated. If you tried to search for any reference to him, you would only find fragments, as if his presence had been systematically erased. This kind of thing has happened before. Several scientists and former military personnel who tried to expose sensitive information faced the same fate. Some were discredited, others silenced, and some simply ceased to exist in the eyes of the world. But why is this particular story so concerning? Because it is directly linked to the missing files. If someone within the system tried to warn about something and was removed shortly afterward, it means this leak could have revealed far more than we were allowed to see. Now go back to how it all happened. The document leak was treated as a major scandal. The person responsible, Jack Teixeira, was quickly arrested. But what about the information that was erased? Why does no one talk about it? Why is there no official effort to clarify what was in those files? Maybe because some questions cannot be answered. The disappearance of this scientist perfectly fits the pattern we've seen before. Sensitive information emerges, someone tries to expose the truth, and the truth disappears along with the person who tried to reveal it. And now, the final question. If a file can disappear from the internet without a trace and a person can vanish without explanations, what else could be happening without us ever knowing? The leaked Pentagon documents were more than just a scandal. They were a crack, a brief rupture in a system that operates in the shadows, far from public view. But what really matters is not just what came to light, but what was erased before anyone could understand what was happening. If files can vanish, if people can disappear, and if information can be manipulated before it even reaches us, then the scariest question is not what has already been revealed, but what is still being hidden. This story is just one piece, and one day, maybe you'll see the whole puzzle. If this made you think, subscribe, like the video. It helps the channel grow. Don't forget to share. After all, more voices mean more discoveries.